Takeda Itetsu, a character in Haikyuu, once said, "He who climbs the ladder must start at the bottom." Surely, to be able to write and publish a great research paper, one must follow the steps properly. A pleasant day to one and all. Welcome to the second session of Writing Research and Academic Papers, or RAP, an international webinar for mathematics research, writing, and publication. I am your host, Mr. Reynaldo C. Collada Jr., a mathematics teacher and a researcher from Highway Hills Integrated School of Schools Division Office of Mandaluyong City. Last December 14, 2020, this webinar started its first session having the high-caliber speaker from Monash University, Australia, Dr. Hazel Tan. She tackled writing papers in mathematics education, the literacy aspect of academic writing. She gave main points on how to write a good research paper and even gave tips as to where these papers may be submitted for publication. The Schools Division Office of Mandaluyong Mathematics Department, in collaboration with Basic Education Mathematics Teacher Society, or BEMTS, are the two organizations responsible for this event. This webinar intends to scholarly cultivate approaches to research writing and strengthen practices for critical research writing among the participants. For the information of everyone, this is a webinar series and today is the second session. Make sure to answer the evaluation form at the end of the talk of our speaker to claim your certificate. Before we begin, let me greet the outstanding leaders of Schools Division Office of Mandaluyong. To our Officer in Charge, Office of the Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Romela M. Cruz Sese. To the Officer in Charge, Office of the Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Aurelio G. Alfonso. To the Chief Education Program Supervisor of the Curriculum Implementation Division, Dr. Aline G. Mendoza. To the Chief of School Governance and Operations Division, Mrs. Emma G. Arubio. To the proponents of this endeavor, the Education Program Supervisor in Mathematics of Schools Division Office of Mandaluyong, Mr. Restituto I. Rodelas. And to the President of Basic Education Mathematics Teacher Society, Dr. Rodolfo T. Aunzo Jr., distinguished guests, fellow educators, math researchers, a math amazing day to each and everyone. To begin, may I request everyone to please stand as we sing the Philippine National Anthem. This is to be followed right away by a prayer of Miss Jessa Marie M. Alejo, a mathematics teacher at Andres Bonifacio Integrated School.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, kaya sa silanganan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y bukay. Lupang pinilang, tuyak ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagatang tugon sa simoy at sa langit kong pagaw, ay hinatang tulagawin sa pagkayang minamahal. Nagistak ng katawan mo'y tagumpay na nagkinitin, ang pituwin at araw niya kailan pang ay magtitinig. Lumanang araw ng waragit pagsikap, mo'y naging sabi mo. Ang ligaya na
Let us bow our head and put ourselves into the holiness of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Dear Almighty and ever-loving God, we glorify your name. You have showered us with so much blessings, and your presence continuously reminds us of your faithfulness and guidance. Lord, may we humbly ask you to shower our speakers today with your greatest inspiration, so that they may share the most of their knowledge, heart, and soul to their respective topics. May we also absorb the invaluable knowledge and experiences and put these into practice. We pray that you bless all the committee in charge, that they may be able to fulfill their tasks responsibly, and the objectives they have set may all be achieved. May your infinite grace lead to success of this seminar, and may we be living witnesses of your genuine love through the enactment of the knowledge acquired through this activity. We ask this in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
This webinar will not be possible without this person. He is the current president of Basic Education Mathematics Teacher Society Incorporated, or BEMTS. To give us the welcome address, let us welcome Dr. Rodolfo T. Aunzo Jr.
Hello! In behalf of the Basic Education Math Teachers Society, allow me to say Happy New Year, everyone! Welcome to this second session on our Writing, Research, and Academic Papers. Thanks to the Department of Education Mandaluyong City Division for the person of Sir Rester Ridelas for collaborating with us. Today, you will learn a very specific example of a mathematics research as our speaker, Professor R. Ying Wan, talks about his published research paper. I hope that this afternoon you will learn this very specific example, which is just a continuation of our previous session on writing research and academic papers. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the webinar.
Thank you very much, Dr. Aunzo, for that warm welcome. Surely, every math teacher researcher present today is grateful for all your efforts to provide us this timely webinar. Learning can only be called learning if the concepts and knowledge learned is applied in real life. Since the first session provided us with ample inputs to create a structured research, today's session will provide us more with additional insights as we witness a presentation of an example of a research published in an international journal. Our speaker is a professor at Perak Matriculation College in Malaysia. He finished his master's degree in mathematics education at Sultan Idris Education University in 2016. Currently, he is a trainer for National Mathematical Olympiad Malaysia and an auditor for MS ISO 9001 in Quality Management Systems, a national awardee as Excellent Teacher, and an author of publications from 2013 up to present. Ladies and gentlemen, join me as we welcome our speaker, Mr. Ao Ying Juan. Good morning, sir.
A very good morning. I bid to the moderator of the session, the presidents of the Basic Education Mathematics Teaching Society, presidents of the Departments of Education, Mandaluyong City Division, Philippines, and last but not least, members of the webinar. So now moving to self-introduction. So my name is Ao Ying Juan, or you can call me John. I'm working from Perak Matriculation College, Malaysia. So the email contact is johnfrankmpk@gmail.com, and then I have my YouTube channel named as John Maths Classroom. So you can find a lot of video inside my channel. And my fields of interest is producing teaching module, game design, and assessment. So today I'm going to present my topic entitled Move Mission Board Game, a medium for students, assessment and learnings of mathematical concept among the pre-university students. So mathematics is the basic knowledge that is needed in learning subjects such as chemistry, physics, computer science. In everyday life, mathematics is essential for the advancements of science and technology and more. So the topics of indices and log is one of the branches of knowledge that falls into the fields of algebra. The concept of the indices and law of log are also very important as they are reused in other mathematical topics. Next, we move on to types of assessment. So the assessment is divided into 3 types. Here we have number 1, the assessment of learning, assessment for learning, and assessment as learning. The effectiveness of an assessment, it depends on the process of implementing a continuous assessment. And the qualities of the implementation. In these studies, the assessment for learning and the assessment of learning were selected to serve as a guide for the implementation of these action studies. According to Black and William, 1998, assessment for learning is a very good practice where information on the student's understanding and the skills are used as evidence of student feedback for the purpose of enhancing the learning as well as enhancements to lecturers in terms of teaching and learning. Now we move on to game. Through the game method, it helps the lecturers to carry out the continuous assessment and also increase the student understandings of learning mathematical concept. This game method not only capture the attentions and the interest of the students, but also contribute and amplify the various methods in teaching and learning of mathematical subject. According to Moser Dyer, 1992, games are a training ground for the students and a good technique for making teachings more practical and engaging. Students are more likely to join if they are interested, awareness on their intention and the benefits of learning. So, game can also stimulate student mental momentum for learning and maintain the good motivations for continuous learning. So therefore, by using the game method in teaching and assessment, it can positively impact the achievement and increase the student interest in teaching and learning. According to Uy and Seger 2009, the use of board game in teaching and learning can help the students to improve the students' understanding. In addition, Taylor 2011 also state that board game can enhance the students' comprehension and achievement as well as enjoy in learning the subject. The awareness of the importance of the indices and logarithm topics in mathematics subject and concern about the student achievement in these topics at matriculation level has been appreciative. Thus, a Move Mission Board game, as we call MBG, project was developed and tested its effectiveness in learning the indices and log for the matriculation science students. So now we move on to reflections of problems. According to Chua and Woods 2005, the topics of indices and log is one of the most difficult topics for students. Moreover, some also state that most of the students do not understand the meaning of the topics of indices and log, especially the symbol that we use during the lesson. This causes the students to have difficulties in understanding the questions and thus struggle to solve the problems, which is stated by the Gray and Tor in 1994. Among the mistakes students often made are algebraic error, misconceptions on the indices, and generalizations of the law of log. and they do not respond to the question vividly. So based on the candidate reports from my college on the topics indices and log, it was found that the mistake frequently made by the candidate when applying the logarithm law, they are unable to answer the logarithmic equation questions. They do not recognize the same basic conversion method and incapable to start answering the logarithmic equation questions. One of the main reasons is that the candidate are incapable to understand and master the law of log. So now we move on to error. So numbers of students' error has been analyzed and identified in these studies of indices and log. And based on the observations of the students in their assignment and quizzes, it was found that the students were often confused and make mistakes in applying the indices and the logarithm rules when solving the problem involving the concept of indices and log. An example of the students' work. So kindly focus on the figure, the diagram on this side. So written there, bracket x squared plus y cubed bracket square is equals to, supposing we have to multiply the same element for 2 times, meaning that bracket x squared plus y cubed bracket multiply with another bracket x squared plus y cubed. Supposingly, that is the correct answer. But for the students, they thought that it is just expand or just multiply, then they will have x to the power 4 plus y to the power 6, which is wrong and not correct. That is a misconception. Another example on the right hand side, where we have the bracket negative 2 to the power of 2 bracket m. Supposingly, they need to split the situation where we have a bracket negative 1 to the power of m multiply with bracket 2 to the power of 2m. So here we have an error. So the final one would be the a to the power of 6 multiply with b to the power of 5. So students confused with the situation and the answer should be the same. Okay, but students assume that they are both a and b are the same base. So from this error, this clearly indicates that students is uncertain and the presence of misconceptions of the students in applying the basic rules of indices. So after that, we have a feedback and survey from the students. So the interview session with 24 students has concluded that majority of the students are lacking confidence when solving problems in the indices and log. Students also mentioned that some of the reason for their uncertainty when answering the indices and log topics. Among them are students who are unable to memorize the rules of the indices and also the law of log. Secondly, the students feel that this topic is very boring as they do not understand the meaning of rules of the indices and log. Therefore, it is clear that the above factors are contributing to the student difficulty in understanding and also mastering the topics of indices and log. So next, we move on to rationale. So since the topics of the indices and log is the base of most branches in mathematics, so it is important for the students to master the knowledge of indices and log. So Al-Kitbi 2015 argued that existing mathematical knowledge in the structures of thinking in the students is one of the factors that influence and advance the mathematical learnings. Educator and researcher need to take immediate actions to solve these problems and then correct the student misconception before they lose their interest and then subsequently had a poor impressions on mathematics. Next, we move on to the focus of the studies. So the implementation of the Move Mission board game is to assist the students in learning the rules and also the law of indices and log. So in addition, it also aims to see how the MBG, where we have the Move Mission board game method contributing to the transformation of process of teaching and learning, and the mathematical assessment among the lecturers. So next we move on to specific objective. So here we have two specific objectives. Number one is to improve the students' skills in solving the indices and log problems through the applications of the Move Mission Board game as a tool for learning. Number two is to review the students' perceptions on the applications of Move Mission Board game in the studies of indices and log. Next, our targeting group. So these studies involve 2 lecturers and 24 students of semester 1 for the 1-year program. So in my college, we have 2 situations. Number 1 is 1 year. The second one is 2 years. So I'm focusing on the 1-year students. So who are low achiever in the pre-test 1. So this group is unable to master the rules and the law of the indices and log, and they are unable to resolve the related problems appropriately. So next we move on to planning and implementation of the studies. So in these studies, the cycles of action studies for the Chemist-McTaggart model 1988 has been used. So the Chemist-McTaggart model 1988, there are 4 steps in each cycle based on the plan, and then action, observations, reflect. Then move on to the second cycle. We repeat the same process: plan, action, observation, and then reflect, in order to improve the quality of the learning, okay, and also the teaching and learning process. So according to this model, the action study is performed in orders for these 4 steps. So number 1, we have plan. So inside the plan, there are observation, interview, and pre-test 1. So we already carry out the process of unstructured observation while teaching and learning the topics of indices and log. Preliminary observations are made through the questions and answer interactions between the lecturers and the student orally in the classroom. The document analysis was also conducted with a review of the assignment and also the quizzes answered by the students on the indices and log topic. So next, we move on to interview session were conducted to identify the problems faced in learning the topics of indices and log. Then followed by the pre-test 1 in order to have the sample or to get the respondent that we have to further the actions in order to correct the student misconceptions. So next we move on to second stage, which is act. So in this part, act and observe move at the same times. So before we starting the game sessions, we introduce the Move Mission Board games to the 24 students. So in here, I wish to clarify what does it mean by move missions. So based on the words move means that move, motivations, the O, opportunity, the O, and whites. So that's why we combine, it become move. So mission means that we have to complete the game, and we have a mission, which is complete the game. So in here, MBG is a platform for lecturers to access the students' learning. MBG is an arena for the students to play and to discuss during the game with the clear missions. So students were assigned to a group of 4 members. So during the first sessions of the teachings and learnings, the indices and log, students were introduced to the Move Mission Board game and were given a brief presentation by the lecturers regarding the rules of the games. So after briefing, the group of 6 students, so means that we have 6 groups because of 24 students, were given 2 hours to play and discuss issues or challenges encountered in the board game. So at the same time, 2 lecturers will monitor and evaluate the MBG players. The lecturers are the reference experts in MBG for all groups. Lecturer move around in the classroom, monitor, access the students' learning activities, and instructs the group. So after the first game, The lecturers meet with each group to provide feedback and also give them a suggestion for improve. With this in mind, the quality of the game and the discussions can be improved. Okay, so for the upcoming game sessions, so means that still in the cycle 1. In the cycle 1, the students will name it as cohort 1. They continue a new game without any basic briefing. So the duration of the MBG is 1 hour. So just now we mentioned 2 hours. We have a first hours. Now we move on to the second hours. At the same time, 2 lecturers will still monitor and evaluate the MBG players. Lecturers act as a reference expertise. So in the game for all the groups. After the games end, the lecturer repeat the same process, meaning that they will meet the students, okay? Meaning that the groups, based on groups, to provide feedback and based on the result of the assessment throughout the game sessions. Next, for the researcher observations, the first 2 hours allocations allowed the players to play 3 rounds. The estimated time for each round is between 30 to 40 minutes. At the end of each round of the game, students will need to calculate the numbers of score individually and then record them. The player with the highest score is the winner of the round. So meaning that they have 6 groups. So each group, they must have a winner. So the important thing is the winner of each round is not the main agenda, but as enhancements of the apprehensions and the learning groups, learning through the group discussion, interaction, as well as enjoyable lesson with the students, is the focus of the learning indices and log. So in addition, exposure and emphasis on the 21st century learning skill or the element such as critical thinking, creative thinking. So where we are provide the diamond, so inside the Move Mission board game, so to stimulate them to think. Then we also have the effective communication skills, means that the students, they will discuss, they will argue during the game. And also the teamwork through the MBG, because they have the same mission to end up the game or to finish the game or to complete the game. So next we move on to the situation where we have the result, or we can say the impact of the cycle 1. So all the data collected from the pre-test 1 and also the post-test 1. So in here, we name the post-test 1 or we name it as pre-test 2 because we have second cycle. So we give them 2 names. Number 1 is the post-test. Okay, so at the same time, the post-test can be assumed as the pre-test for as a starting for the second cycles. So all the data has been collected. Okay, the purpose is to answer the study objective. So the data analysis method used is descriptive statistic test and also the mean. So table 1, we have the statistical distribution for the pre-test 1 and the post-test 1, means that after the cycle 1, we have a post-test, and the post-test can be assumed as the pre-test 2 starting for the second cycle. So for the students of the Move Mission project. So here, as we can see that it shows the statistical distributions. Okay, so for the cohort 1 students for the Move Mission project, the analysis shows that the minimum and the maximum score were at the lower level, 20%, and 40% for the pre-test 1. This indicates that the students in this group already have some knowledge and that they are below the mean level, which is 30.92%, with a standard deviation 5.437. Okay, this result of the analysis in table 1 also shows that the mean score for the post-test 1, or we can say the pre-test 2, with a minimum score 50% and the maximum score 87%. So there was an increment, 40.46% increase in the score after using the Move Mission board game, with the mean 71.38% and the standard deviation 12.981, which is very high if compared to the pre-test 1. So the grade for the pre-test 1 score was grade E for 30.92%. Increased to grade B with the mean 71.38%. This shows that the Move Mission board game helped the students to learn about the indices and log. And I can say these findings are encouraging. So next, we move on to another table. So shows the distribution of score for both the pre-test 1 and post-test 1 for 24 low achieving students. So in the table, they also shows that there was a positive improvement in all the students in the range of 50% to 87% marks, or an elevation of 17% to 54%. So as we can see, blue in color is the pre-test 1. And the color in orange is the post-test 1 too. So as we can see, we found that there are 8 students. Okay, 8 students. So here we have around 50 marks. So number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 and 8. So kindly refers to the standard deviation. Just now we have 12. So this is the main reason why the standard deviation increased from 5 to 12, because there is a wide spread. Okay, so 8 students out of 24 students still have not yet reached the satisfactory level. So that's why the cohort 2 students still have some room of improvement, and we reflect and plan the action for the cycle 2 by improving the action in the cycle 1. So means that now we are going to have a cycle 2 in order to tackle the students. Okay, so next we have a reflections. Before we move on to cycle 2, we have a reflections for the cycle 1. So during the implementation of the cycle 1, observations has been made based on the implementations of the MBG activities. So we found that in the cycle 1, for the first hour, students in the group had problems solving the indices and log questions. Students had problems to solve problems on challenge encountered in the MBG. Students were still in the process of adapting to MBG, such as how to record the score, breakthrough, use the strategy diamonds, and in-game move. So Move Mission board game has provided the opportunity for key reference, so meaning that the lecturers, to communicate and to guide on how to initiate the solutions. So meaning that guidance. So this atmosphere in 1 hour activity seemed very serious and very focused on answering the questions. So can say they are not very enjoying the game yet. For the second hour, during the first cycle, the students become accustomed to record the score. So it means that they already get used. There is a sign and symptom, they already get used. Solving the methods, okay, and start to have a self-reliance in solving indices and log problems. So which is very positive. So the primary referral specialist should only provide a minimal advisory service for the students. So it means that teachers or the lecturers try to give them a minimal guide. Okay, so instead of telling them all the solutions. So a few students are well versed in the diamond strategy, means that they started to be creative using the diamond strategy for attacking in the Move Mission board game. So the classroom environment is already lively for this moment, with the collaborations and discussion about the mistake made by them or their friends. So, and the way also using the diamond strategy in the MBG. So according to Kapitonov 2009, board games are an arena, or it provides an environment for the students to sit together and to begin to work on learning together. So which is very nice in this part. So next, during the third hour of the first cycles, students appear in more confidence. So now we can see their confidence, cheerful, and they're already ready for, or we can say prepared to play the MBG. So as a proof of preparations can be seen as the students enter the classroom earlier than the directed, carrying notebook, mind maps, index of sheets for the formulas that has been laminated with the PVC plastics. So this indicates that the intrinsic motivation has increased. So of the students in this group, so this is because the group of the students has act to provide material for their self-learning. So in the third hour, students are better at solving problems with the self-reference on the topics. So also answering duration seems shorter than before. So between 2 to 3 minutes compared to the second hours, okay, which is 5 to 10 minutes. So this evidence is reflected that in the numbers of questions students answer in the first round of the game. In addition, after the use of MBG, students also appear more systematic and more responsible in learning, as well as in the group discussions. So in each sessions of the game for the cycle 1, the students' monitoring and assessment by the lecturer was performed in the reference. After the games activities, the lecturers meet the students again to share the conclusion they have learned during the game sessions. So according to Griffin's 2004, the implementations of the MBG enable the lecturers to interview the students for feedbacks on their learning. So next, we are moving to the second cycle. So repetition, so means that we come up with the plan, okay, after the post-test one, or we can say as a pre-test. So the student answer script will review so that the weakness and misconception of the students were identified before the treatment of the cycles 2 was performed. So we found that 8 out of 24 have not yet reached the satisfactory level. So action plan for the cycle 2 was then created. So we modified the method was done with the additions of 2 facilitators. So means that we will ask 2 students to join. So which is excellent students in each group for the Move Mission board game. So means that the students from the first cycle, they will help the second cycle students. So MBG is used as a platform for lecturer to access the students' learning during the activity, which is still the same. So it is also an arena for the students to play and discuss during the MBG with the help of the facilitator. So this is the modifications. We add on 2 students or facilitators, which are excellent in the first game. So this session involved 2 groups, 2 students groups, consisting 8 students for the cohort 2 and 4 facilitators. So meaning that we have 8 students divided into 2 groups. Each group got 4 students. Then we add on 2 facilitators for each group. So in these cycles, the 2 lecturers play a key role in the game. So lecturer move around in the classroom to monitor and assess the student learning and control the game activity and provide advice to the facilitator in terms of game or in content-wise in the index and log. So meaning in here, the difference is the first game, for the first cycle, lecturer move around, consult them. For the second cycle, the lecturer only consult the facilitator, not the players. So for the second cycle, the repetitions of the cycle 1 in the monitoring and assessment of the students by the lecturer is still being implemented. Okay, so with the objective of improving the quality of implementation of these studies. Then we have a post-test, okay, for the 8 students. So post-test 2, or we can say the pre-test 2 session was conducted. So why we name it as pre-test 2? Maybe we have a third cycle, so we can name it as the pre-test 2. Was conducted to test the current understanding and comprehensions of the cohort 2 students in the studies of indices and log. So students are given 40 minutes to answer the question in the space provided in the question paper. So after they complete, we will collect and review the post-test 2 data. So all the cycle 2 data collected for the pre-test 1, post-test 1, or we name it as pre-test, and also the post-test 2 were analyzed to answer the stated subject, study objective. So the data analysis method used is descriptive statistic test and mean. So now we have the statistical table, or the statistical distribution for the pre-test one. So where we have in the first cycle. Then move on with the post-test one, or we can say this is the pre-test two, collected in the first cycle, end of the first cycle. Then we have the second cycle. Then finally we collect the post-test two. So we're only focusing on the 8 students. Okay, so table 2 shows that we have the data, and the analysis shows that the minimum and maximum score for the pre-test one is 20%, with the maximum is 37%, and the mean is 27.38%, with a standard deviation 5.975. So in this part, we can see that after the cycles, we can see that which is 50 as a minimum, followed by maximum 57%. So for the first cycle, with the mean 54.25%, with the standard deviation 2.188. So the result of the analysis shows that the mean test score for the post-test, okay, with a minimum score 77% and the maximum score 87%. So there was an increment, about 28.63% increase in the score after using the Move Mission Board game with the help of the peer coaching. So meaning that here we have the first cycle only focus on the Move Mission Board game. Second cycle, Move Mission Board game add on with the peer coaching. So we have a mean 82.88% with the standard deviation 4.324. So the pre-test one score was grade as F, so which is not so good, is increased to grade C, getting better, with the mean 54.25. Consecutively, the post-test 2 score is increased to grade A with a mean 82.88%. So this shows that the Move Mission Board game, with the help of the facilitator, had accessed the learnings of the cohort 2 students in the topics of indices and log. And I can say these findings are highly positive. So next, we have a figure 7. Okay, shows that the mean distribution for the students who achieve in a medium level. So overall, the students' achievement in the post-test 2 shows a remarkable improvement for the 8 students. So as we can see, the blue in color is the pre-test 1. The orange is the post-test 1, so which is the first cycle. After the first cycle, there is their achievement. And then in the second cycle, gray in color, so this is the achievement. So as we can see, they are getting better, more than 70%. So better than the first cycle. So we can say the improvement overall is remarkable. Okay, with the 8 students with the range of 23 points to 37 points, or we can say the increment is 23% to 37%. So the achievement of 8 students have improved and is in good standings. So this demonstrates that the combinations of the use of the Move Mission Board game with the guidance of the facilitators and the monitorings of the lecturers in the action cycle 2 has been successfully achieved. So now we go to reflections. So in implementing the actions of the cycle 2, facilitator acts as a referral expert and motivator for the players. The facilitator demonstrates a commitment to help the players in the game so that they can achieve the learning and the game mission as well. So the activity in the cycle 2 appear to be more organized and systematic. Students are more serious and focused when solving the question related to indices and log. So the lecturer outlooks on this MBG will facilitate the process of monitoring, access the students based on instrument. So this is because the main referrals provide only minimal advisory service during the game sessions. More focus can be given to monitor and evaluations process. It has been found that there has been a shift from teacher-centered learning to student-centered learning. This has shows that there is a contribution to the process of transformations of teaching and learning and the assessment in mathematics after the MBG implementations. So next, we move on to student perceptions on how the Move Mission Board game was. So after the implementation of the Move Mission Board game project, so we found that we have already interviewed some of the students to gain the students' perceptions and opinions on the Move Mission Board game. So student thinks that the MBG is fun and enjoyable. In addition, some students state that the MBG has elements and strategy that can encourage the creative and critical thinking, as students need to think about various strategy in order to win the game. So students also note that the MBG has provided students with a chance to get acquainted with other students. In addition, students are also aware that in MBG, there is an increase of motivation for learning. Among them are students who are motivated to make a review after the game and be prepared for the next game. So that is the students' perceptions. Now we move on to lecturers' perceptions. So after the implementation of the Move Mission project, so we, among the researchers and the colleague, discuss and reflect on the implementation of the Move Mission Board game in assessing the students' learning. So we are focusing on the assessment that the board game can bring to the lecturers or the teachers. So we found that first, MBG provide students with a platform and give them some time to discuss and share their comprehensions of the mathematical concept. Next, student-centered learning has been given lecturers more space and focus to make assessment compared to the conventional method. So that is the first one. The second one is the summative assessment, or we can say assessment for learning. So which is was conducted throughout the MBG session as students answer in the score sheet and lecturer were able to monitor over the time in terms of the cognitive domain, means that students' various way of solving questions. The second one is the domain affective, means that the student role in the group game. So psychomotor domain means that the student movement during the game sessions, and the social domain, meaning that the student interact in the group during the game. So thirdly, lecturers have the opportunity to meet the students to get feedback on their learning and also provide the students feedback based on the result of monitoring throughout the game sessions. So as a conclusions, overall overview, students of this project have benefit from the implementation of the Move Mission Board game project. So in addition, it also shows that student comprehensions and masteries the indices and log topics has been increased. So this can be clearly seen through the achievement of the post-test 1 and the post-test 2. So through the researcher observation, it was found that the MBG is a platform, an environment for the students to sit together to initiate a small group discussions. This is the 21st century learning. So where it is student-centered learning, students in this group communicate, collaborate with one another to accomplish the learning missions. So next we have, so as we can see, the learning activities embedded in the Move Mission Board game are effective in promoting self-learning and also the teamwork among the students. So in addition, it also gives the lecturers more focus, means that they give the lecturers more time to observe and assess the students. And this is the process of assessment. As such, in this board game can help adapt it and modify in a suitable to facilitate learning. at school, colleges, and also the university level. So these general concepts and ideas can be customized for teaching and learning, other topics in mathematics, as well as for other subjects for matriculation college. So thank you. So do remember, my name is John. So working from Perak Matriculation College. So the email that you can contact me is the johnfriendkmpk@gmail.com. So then for my YouTube channel, you can type John Maths Classroom. So kindly refers to the situation. So hopefully you can subscribe my channel, and then do remember, click the like button. So my fields of interest is producing teaching module or design and teaching modules, as well as the game design and also the assessment. So thank you. See you guys. And do remember, email me.
Thank you very much, Mr. John. We are blessed to have seen a great example of research which we can use as a basis for international publications. At this juncture, let us award the Certificate of Recognition to Mr. Ao Ying Juan. Let me read to you the citation. Certificate of Recognition is awarded to Mr. Ao Ying Juan for having served as a resource speaker for this webinar on Writing Researches and Academic Papers, or RAP, an international webinar for mathematics research writing and publication, given this 9th day of January 2021 at the city of Mandaluyong. Signed, Dr. Rodolfo T. Aunzo Jr., President of BEMPS. Signed, Romela M. Cruz Sese, Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Officer in Charge, Office of the Schools Division Superintendent. Congratulations, Mr. Juan. Research is truly a step-by-step process. To publish a research means to go through every challenge in making one. But just like the acronym of this webinar, WRAP, we are actually trying to wrap our gifts of knowledge and experience as researchers and present them to the curious minds out there. Math researchers, let us strengthen our foundations in writing researches by taking a step at a time. I know, through experience, we will be able to mold our own armors to become warriors of knowledge in the future. Again, this is Sir Ray, wishing you all your safety and hoping to see you next Saturday for our next session. Maraming salamat and mabuhay!